One more Russian military airfield was hit with many of the drones which were launched from Ukraine. The Russian military base is located in Mozdok, North Ossetia, Caucasus. It accommodates some of the Russian bombers as well as MiG-31K, which Russia uses to strike Ukrainian infrastructure by the hypersonic missiles. And also, yes, Russia lost their Su-57, the best Russian fighter jet ever built. More you will see in this video. And here we have the drone flying filmed by the eyewitnesses. It went straight to the airfield, it went down, as you can see on the screen, and there is a kaboom. It is not just the only strike which happened that day. At least 3 of the drones made it to their target. Here I just want to show you the place. So this is Ukraine, Caucasus, the part of it is Russia, and let's go to Mozdok city, zoom in, and this is the military airfield. If we zoom into the apron, you may see some of the Su-76 helicopters, but now there are Russian bombers and, as I say to you, MiG-31, so the picture is totally different. Those images, as you may see on the Google Maps, are quite old. Yet we are waiting for the report of what particular was hit out there, and they were not shot down by the Russian air defense, as Russia always claims. No, drones were programmed, they dived in, and there was the kaboom, for sure hitting some of the infrastructure of the airfield or maybe some of the planes. Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go. Alright, it seems like after all the Russian MiG-31 was hit, but it happened not in Mozdok. The one more strike was conducted on Belbek, also the base for the same aircraft type. Well, I'm gonna tell you about it after the short message. Guys, as you probably know, the Father's Day is coming very soon. I'm a father myself, so I'm gonna celebrate this day within my family circle. And for the special occasion, a company called Extra reached out to me and they presented those fantastic wallets, which you might like. Well, let's check out what's inside. Alright, what we have are the 2 wallet models and a single finding card. Meet Extra, the next generation of smart wallets designed for the modern world. Whether you need quick access to your cards, protect against the wireless theft, or a sleek and suitable design, Extra have you covered. Crafted from premium materials like space-grade aluminum and environmentally certified leather, Extra wallets are not only durable but also eco-friendly. They're definitely built to last a lifetime. Are you worried about the data theft? Well, Extra wallet comes with RFID protection. It's the blocking technology which keeps your personal information safe and secure. You know guys, my daily life is usually very active. I like motorcycles, I like cycling, I like flying the glider, so I like to carry as less things as possible with me. And this wallet really gives me the freedom because it's very compact. Just look at my previous wallet and this one. It's a big difference. Yeah, I may put lots of the cash in this big one, but you know, I found out that I rarely do it. Actually, I do not carry cash any longer, so the choice is obvious. Say goodbye to fumbling through your wallet. With Extra's patented quick card access, you can access your cards in a flash with just a single push of a button. You know, in my wallet I have everything including my cards and driving license, and sometimes I tend to lose it if I am in a hurry. But Extra gives you the option of defining cards, so basically you may put it to your wallet and you'll never forget it. Because it is connected to your iPhone, there is also the option for the tracking card, which also works with Android devices. By the way, that one has a solar battery, but finding card is okay for me because I have the iPhone. I already paired my find card with my iPhone, so let's check out if it works. Yeah, it works. With the optional finding card or a tracker card, you will never misplace your wallet again. Available in different styles and colors, you can also personalize the wallet to make it truly yours. And now my friends, please check extra.com website. It is available with my personal link in the video description just below, and use my promo code Davydov. The Father's Day sale is offering 40% off, and using my promo code Davydov you'll unlock the further savings. Extra, thank you for sponsoring this video and delivering awesome products for review. Alright, now let's go to the Russian airfield of Belbek and the pink MiG-31. How lovely is that? A pink MiG-31. But actually it is just a primer color. It means that Russia performed some of the painting job on this airplane, which was previously damaged a little as a result of Ukrainian drone strike. So Russia changed some of the equipment, some parts of the airplane, and they decided to repaint it. First of all with a pink primer, and later on they're gonna put their own livery, so their own colors. The Belbek airfield was attacked at least 3 of the times since the beginning of the full-scale war. And with every strike, Russia lost at least a part of the infrastructure of the airfield, some of the communications, the air defense systems, or the airplanes. The last night there were also reports about the kabooms in Crimea, in Saki, Sevastopol, in Simferopol, Gvardeysk Russian airfield, but now it's getting harder to obtain the detailed information about the Ukrainian strikes, and the result of those mostly will rely on the satellite images because locals are forbidden to film everything or post on social media about the events. They even could be jailed because of it, so Russians are not allowed to know the true story. Based on the current information from the Russian sources, the MiG is no-go, so it is unable to fly any longer, so Russia will just repaint it and put on the apron as the possible target to attract Ukrainian drones. That's it. Why is it like that? Because it was significantly damaged during the previous strike. So it's not airworthy any longer. And yes, this is the satellite image of the damaged Russian Su-57 fighter jet, the 5th generation of the fighter jet as they claim it to be. On June the 8th there was the strike on the Russian Aktubinsk airfield in Astrakhan region, which is located almost 600 kilometers away from Ukraine. The drone strikes were conducted right on the apron, causing the severe damages to the aircraft. The satellite images were shared by Ukrainian GUR military intelligence. It's the first recorded loss of that airplane time of the Russian army, and here you can see on apron 2 of the marks from the drone strikes. The shrapnel obviously hit the airplane, so Russia lost it. I think that it is even the first recorded loss of the 5th generation military jet in the world history because of the real strike in a real war case scenario. Well, even though Russia hesitates to use those airplanes in a war against Ukraine, but still at some point Russia might start to do it. As far as I remember, they have 13 of the airplanes of this aircraft type. Now let's review the front lines just briefly. So here Ukraine went on some certain counterattack in Volchan city. At the same time, Russia still continued with their attack attempts. Also over here, so they're still pushing, they have resources for that, and they send new reinforcements as well as, by the way, Ukrainian army. Today Zelensky announced that the operation of the Russian army in Kharkiv stalled and failed, and that Ukraine will send more reinforcements to push Russians out. We'll see if this operation will be successful, because it is now partially successful, especially in Volchansk, the city which was completely destroyed by the Russian occupiers. Russia actually already occupied that city in 2022. It is their second attempt, which is not as successful for them as it was 2 years ago. Also, we know that Russia tried to use the Wagner soldiers, but Wagnerites refused to take part in this offensive operation because they say that it is just a huge mid-wave strike with heavy losses. The average Russian soldiers refused to fight there as well, many of them just running away out from the warfield, deserting or leaving the area, sometimes surrendering for Ukrainian army. In Ukrainian military prison, Russian soldiers treated quite well, compared to the attitude for Ukrainian prisoners of war in the Russian prisons. How do we know that Russians are refusing to fight in Kharkiv Oblast? Well, they write about it on their social media, and also Russian military bloggers put attention on that as well. But in Russian propaganda media, everything is alright. Russian army goes ahead with almost no losses. But the losses in Kharkiv Oblast for Russia is 1-8, absolutely crazy. It's been almost 1 month since Russia started this attempt to occupy the Kharkiv region, and yes, we may state that they failed with this operation that was advertised all around the Russian TV, how they go to Kharkiv, we're gonna go and liberate, as they say, Kharkiv. In just a couple of days, the operation will be successful. Here we go, our convoys. All of that are now being demolished. The great role in why Ukraine is so successful in repelling Russian forces, for example, from Volchansk, is the permission from our allies to use Western-made weaponry to target Russian bases on the Russian territory. So Ukraine cuts the Russian logistics, Russia is unable to send fuel or ammunition at the proper time to the specific places, and that would make the Russian army to stop. However, in other regions, for example, in Bakhmut area, in Chasiv Yar, Russia is more successful. Some of the Russian trolls or bots say that Ukraine wasn't really successful in Volchansk, it wasn't able to push Russian army out, but we have the drone images with correct information about the case, so indeed Ukraine was successful out there. You may see here that the eastern part of the Chasiv Yar is now half occupied by the Russian armed forces, and the rest of this part is located in the gray zone, so this area is a total war field. I thought that they might use this strike vector as the main one, but they decided to go all in with the heaviest losses possible straight to the settlement. Well, as you can see over here, there is a war obstacle and Ukraine has the chance to cut the connection between two of the parts, kaboom the bridge and not let Russian forces in, targeting them with lots of the FPV drones, artillery and so on. So partially it could be a trap for the Russian soldiers, because after all this channel is not easy to cross. Russia needs to put their engineering equipment, which will be under the constant fire by Ukrainian side. But obviously here Russia has the resources to occupy the eastern part of the Chasiv Yar. They use aviation bombs there as well as their artillery and the other types of the weaponry. When they will go to this part of the city, it's a big question. It all depends on how fast Ukraine gets all of the necessary weaponry to repel the Russian attack. As you see, the group of the politicians in the United States did absolutely everything to postpone the military support of Ukraine. Finally, the bill was voted, but still we need a few months for the military aid to arrive. For this reason, in 2024, Ukraine is losing the ground because it wasn't really prepared for the summer campaign. Russia was prepared. During the winter time, they have received lots of the artillery shells, they produced lots of the vehicles, they hired volunteers and foreign mercenaries into their army. That's why even with heavy losses, but they take the ground. Ukraine is unable to cope with this at the present stage, so there will be more weaponry needed. Hopefully in July, Ukraine will be able to stall all of the Russian attacks, especially on the east, because this direction is the most hard for Ukrainian army, and today Zelensky and some of the Ukrainian military officials stated about it. The deep state military map confirmed the advancement of the Russian army, so yesterday and today. The last year and this one, Russia failed with all of their strike attempts to get Vuhledar under control. That's why they now try to go from this side. Here they took few of the fields, so yesterday and today. We're gonna see how it goes. The defense of Vodine and Vuhledar is quite strong for Ukraine, so I think that the Russian army will not be successful in reaching two of those settlements, at least in the nearby few months. About the Kerch bridge, the UK government publishes this satellite image, which is dated on 23rd of May. Here you may see lots of the defense barges, and we know that Russia put even more right now. The Russian intelligence probably knows that something is coming, so Russia tries to protect the bridge as hard as they can, putting those barges against the drone boats and more air defense systems to potentially shut down Ukrainian drones. Well, we'll see how it goes in the nearby future. I think that Ukraine first of all should obtain F-16s and only after that perform some sort of the operation to cut the Russian supplies. My friends, again, I may share some of the videos just on my Telegram because of this platform restrictions, so sorry for the blurred image. What I can possibly show you is this Russian motorcyclist. We have tons of the videos with their useless motorcycle attacks. There are tons of the videos like that of how they try to reach Ukrainian positions using two-wheeled transport. But if our guys are on time launching FPVs, Russian bikers are just doomed because there is no any protection against the FPV drone strikes. As well as there is almost no protection for the China-made Russian golf carts. On this screenshot we see many of the Russian bikes, here, and here, totally 5 of them, and this attack wasn't successful for Russians as well. Again, they are using the China-made off-road motorcycles. And this is the Ukrainian Yakovlev 52, the aerobatic airplane also used for the pilot training. It was filmed from the Russian Zala surveillance drone, the drone which this Yak was able to shut down. Unfortunately, Yak doesn't have the machine guns on the front like in the Second World War. Instead, the pilot who is sitting in the aft cockpit is carrying some sort of the rifle to shut down the Russian drones. Quite an interesting tactic, and we see that it works. The Ukrainian-made BTR-4E, so for Echo, was spotted in Gleboka village. It fired to many of the Russian positions, the buildings which Russia was capable to occupy. While the rate of fire is impressive, looks like Bradley or something like that. At the same village of Gleboka, Ukraine dropped some of the aviation bombs to get rid of the Russian positions, so I believe that there are no Russian soldiers left. And this is the small Russian base in one of the abandoned buildings of the Belgorod Oblast of the Russian Federation. Our guys were able to strike it. Using the FPV drone, it is important to strike Russian bases on their territory because they use them for the further advancement to Ukraine. They also rotate the Russian soldiers from the front lines, placing them in those kind of the households. So this is what happens with the Russian supply tracks or with their engineering equipment. Without the proper robust supply lines, the army is just incapable. For this reason, Russia is unable to advance very fast. Some of the Russian soldiers even complain about the Ukrainian strikes. Here they say that now they have to leave all of the destroyed tracks and evacuate from the base because it's useless to protect it and nothing really left out there. At the same time, the head of the Austrian Defense Ministry said that the permission for Ukraine to strike the Russian bases on the Russian territory is nothing more but crossing the red lines and also escalation. Well, obviously she is correct. West just crossed the red lines which it put for itself before. And yes, it is some sort of the escalation, which is good because not only Russia is allowed now to escalate. Russia needs to understand that they'll have the response from the West and from Ukraine. Putin also said about the red lines which have been crossed, but Putin put lots of the red lines before, which after all appeared just as a brown lines. And there is no any strong response from the Russian side. What did they say? They will supply the same weaponry to their allies who fight against the Western countries in the Middle East, but they already do it. They supply their technologies to North Korea, their fighter jets to Iran, their anti-tank missiles to Hamas, so all of that is really happening. At the same time, Austria itself is not a NATO member, so they cannot judge, and she said that they cannot judge crossing the red lines or escalation. It is the topic of NATO, Ukraine and Russia. Austria really has nothing to do with that. Well, they help Ukraine a lot, for refugees, but Austria do not supply weaponry for Ukraine. It is their neutral status policy. Similar to Switzerland, but Austria is the part of the EU. So politically and economically, they are still dependent on EU. Alright, what can we see here? That Lufthansa airplane crash-landed near Moscow. Yes, it's not Lufthansa, but this paint job is interesting. It's the private Russian airplane Piper, which performed the forced landing on one of the roads in Russia near Moscow. All the people survived. Why did they use Lufthansa sign, Lufthansa livery? I'm out of clue. An absolute great outcome for 4 of the hostages who were captured by Hamas in Israel during their attack on 7th of October. All of those people were released from captivity by Israeli special forces. Here we have the drone image of the final part of the operation, the military helicopter, some of the special forces carrying hostages, and helicopter just flies away. I'm very happy for all the hostages, and by the way, this guy is Russian. His name is Andrei Kozlov. He was a security guard of the Supernova Sukkot Gathering Festival, which was attacked by Hamas. He carried no arms, so he wasn't able to fight with Hamas attackers. And I'm very happy for Noah that she has been released as well. Hamas kept all of the hostages for long 8 months. Probably you remember those pictures that were shared on the internet, how she'd been taken away, imprisoned in the Gaza Strip. Luckily she's safe now, but obviously traumatized. It is not the first time that Israeli forces performed a successful operation to release their hostages. Unfortunately, many other of the hostages were found dead in Gaza Strip. By the way, if we check out the recent military map update on the Gaza Strip, you may see that IDF is moving eastbound. Israel was really fast in taking the border under control, and now it goes over here. More about the Middle East update. According to the Wall Street Journal, the White House administration is now negotiating with Qatar and Egypt to pressure Hamas for some sort of the peace talks with Israel. And now Doha, so Qatar is pushing the Hamas leaders for negotiations. There are threats for them of arrest, sanctions, expulsion from Qatar. But there is no positive response from Hamas whether they want to negotiate with Israel or not. Guys, probably you know about this video which was shared on internet. I also shared it on my Telegram channel, how Biden tried to sit on invisible chair. The video was commented lots of the times by the Biden's opponents that this guy is old, he's out of clue what he's doing, he has dementia and so on. But actually chairs were there. Biden just decided to sit before everyone else. Yes, it's too fast, but nevertheless, he did everything correct. So if you see the full picture, it plays well, right? I'm not a fan of Joe Biden, but here everything was Okay, the part of the video was cut and exaggerated. The Times came out with an article about Yermak, the head of the president's administration of Zelensky. They said that the authority of the head of the president's office exceeded the authority of the elected officials of Ukraine. The foreign diplomats complained that Yermak controls the access to president. Yermak is personally accused for dismissing Zaluzhny from the military command. And the Times says the trend that the influence of Yermak on Zelensky is growing. The possibility for creating conditions for corruption in Yermak's environment causes concern. The Times relied to the Western politicians their opinion on Yermak and Zelensky. However, at the same time, Ukrainian president's office rejected the criticism as a propaganda attack from Russia. Well, it is hard for me to prove or disapprove the information, but indeed there is a huge influence of Andriy Yermak on President Zelensky, and we all see it from all of the media publications, from independent journalists. And indeed, there is a corruption field still existing in Ukraine, and there is no huge lever to cope with that corruption. From the other Western media sources, we see how our allies are pushing President's office of Ukraine to cope with the corruption problem. And the United States continue to see the corruption as the real threat for Ukraine. Anthony Blinken visited Ukraine the last month, and he also spoke about the corruption, that Ukraine should handle it. So at least the part of this article is unfortunately correct. Guys, again, I'm not spreading any sort of the Russian propaganda on my channel. I'm here commenting on this article. So part of it could be exaggerated or over-exaggerated, but part of it is correct. And yes, I speak about the issues in Ukrainian politics, in Ukrainian government, because it touches really the effectiveness of Ukrainian army and the lives of our soldiers, especially if we speak about corruption. And still in this environment, Ukrainian army is capable to fight against the Russian one. It is just a miracle for me how Ukrainian army is able to do it. Alright, again, speaking about the Russian propaganda, those photos indeed were taken in Ukraine by some of the Ukrainian photographer. Ukrainian elderly soldiers who were just hired are going through their training. We can see that they are not young at all. And indeed, there are lots of the elderly soldiers in Ukrainian army, but they're united in separate group, as we see on this picture. As you may judge, the capability of the group is limited. For this reason, they will be not used as the other more younger groups. Also, we are out of clue about the duties of the guys. Maybe they will fight behind the front lines on artillery. Here you may see that they're at the shooting range, but it is compulsory for everyone to go through the shooting range, even for artillerists and for supply drivers, whatever. So we have the fact of just the training, the drills, but the context is left behind. I'm sure that those guys will not go and fight in the trenches, because in some way it's just impossible for them to do it. You have to have some of the physics to fight right on the front line. And I may show you many of the other pictures of the elderly Russian soldiers. And some of them were just hired by the Russian army too, so without the real context, it's hard to judge. And the Institute for the Study of War said that Russia is out of the military man to conduct the fast, maneuverable offensive operations. They're just capable to do what they're doing right now, midways attacks with limited success. Guys, sorry I'm publishing this video a little late because there were lots of the Telegram outrages. Telegram is one of my main sources to obtain the information, also ground news, some of the channels on Twitter and so on. So just now I was able to restore the connection for my Telegram channel. The connection outrage lasted for a few hours, so it was really terrible for Telegram, and there was no information shared about what particularly caused that. And now, my friends, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And also, please don't forget to check the link for the extra wallets in the video description, where you will get 40% off for the Father's Day. And also use my personal code Davydov for extra benefits. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.